Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111 and I'm so excited to do the you and them reading for you today. This is a reading in which we dig in deep to find out what's really going on between you and the person you have in mind. And on that note, before we say anything else, just hold that person in mind for me right now. And I want you to take a really deep breath in through the nose, really filling up your tummy like a balloon. And then exhaling all the way out. And just do that again for me, nice and slow, finding a really good rhythm with your breath. And as you do that, as you're focused on your breathing, just imagine anchoring in your heart space the intention that you're ready and willing to receive all the messages you need today about this person and about how to move forward for your highest good. And just set the intention that you're ready and willing to be receptive to whatever you need to hear the most today. Beautiful. So let's dig in. You've got 4 piles to choose from. The first one is the cockatiel with the green opal. And for this pile, I will be using the Curious Creatures Tarot. In pile number 2, we've got the otter and the hematite. And for this pile, I will be using the lovely Omens Tarot. For pile number 3, we have the swan and the Breciated jasper. And for this pile, we will be using the Blooming Cat Tarot. And for pile number 4, we've got the narwhal with yellow calcite and the Dream Visions Tarot. So pause the video if you need to, just see which one you're drawn to the most. There's no right or wrong way to choose. If you're drawn to more than one pile, it may be that there's messages in more than one pile for you. So just go ahead and watch whatever you feel drawn to the most. The timestamps are in the description box below. That will take you straight to your pile and I will see you there. Hello, pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You have chosen the cockatiel, the green opal and the Curious Creatures Tarot. And we are asking today, what is really going on between you and them? And if you skipped the intro, I did ask in the intro that you take a deep breath, you set the intention of who you want to hear about today, who you need to receive guidance for. You probably already knew that, but it really helps to just get in the zone, just get this energy flowing. And before I get the cards shuffled, or whilst I'm getting them shuffled, I want you to just also ask the universe for a sign, some nice long deep breaths, and just see what comes to mind. It could be an animal, something from nature, a place, an object. There's no right or wrong, a symbol, just a number, a series of numbers, a name. Just see what comes to mind. And again, nice long deep breath. Imagine anchoring that intention to receive that sign in the heart space. And when we ask for a sign, it just gives the universe an opportunity to communicate with us really directly, you know, to help us trust in the messages we're getting, to help us have faith in how spirit and the magical universe works. So this is the deck I'm going to use for your energies, pile 1. But I actually use 3 decks this reading. So for your person, we'll be using the Anima Mundi Tarot. I'm going to give these a shuffle as well. I do this off screen, but I know you guys like to see it on screen as well. Right, and down the middle for the connecting energies, I'm going to be using this deck. This is the, oh, see what that is. It might come out again. Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting. I'm going to shuffle it back in. If it's meant to come out again, it will. But the 10 of Pentacles in reverse is usually referencing the end of a committed relationship, or a committed relationship that's in trouble, that's struggling. So we'll see what else comes through when we draw them. So that's the deck we're going to use, the connecting energies, that bit in the middle. What is your energy and their energy add up to? That's this deck. Right, we're going to put these over here while we draw cards for you first. The cockatiel we're going to read in a minute. But let's look at the energy you're bringing to the connection first, pile 1. What energy are you bringing to this connection right now? Okay, so we've got the Ace of Swords in reverse. That's confusion, stress, lack of clarity. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. unable to let go. I don't know why this isn't focusing so you can see it. There we go. Unable to let go. And that's a really interesting Four of Pentacles, right? Because they're sat on luggage, which is, you know, that feeling of I know I've got to go, but I don't think I can. The Magician in reverse. And how are you thinking and feeling about this person and this connection? We've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. That's not good energy. You're feeling pretty pissed off. Okay, Judgment. That's awakening as well. Ready for that next phase. The Fool, beautiful. This is such a beautiful, beautiful energy. Okay, what's shifting? What's shifting for you, person one? Where's your perspective shifting? The Chariot in reverse. The Queen of Wands in reverse. And the Six of Cups in reverse. Okay, let's get cards for your person. So what energy are they bringing to the connection? The Six of Swords in reverse. The Four of Wands. And the High Priestess. Interesting. And how are they thinking and feeling about the connection? Oh. The Page of Swords in reverse. The Four of Swords. The King of Wands in reverse. And what's shifting for them? Where's their perspective shifting towards? Okay. Two of Cups in reverse. Justice. And Queen of Pentacles. Right, connecting energies. What's going on in the middle? So what does the energies each of you are bringing that up to? The Moon in reverse. That's a lack of trust. It's fear and anxiety. What are their thoughts and feelings add up to? Oh, okay. That's not a proper card. Let's put that away. Try again. Actually, maybe someone needed to see one of the signs or symbols on that. So I'm going to bring it up close just in case. I don't know why this isn't focusing. There we go. Don't know if that's relevant to anyone. Right. Seven of Swords. And for what's shifting, the Nine of Swords. Okay, let's start with the Cockatiel. This is a Page of Swords, and it's important to note that the Page of Swords came up in reverse for your person over here. And the Page of Swords is about, well, you've got to think of it in terms of maturity. Pages represent the inner child aspect, or a literal child, but in this case, we're looking at a relationship between you two, and this being a significator, it represents the inner child and the method of communication, conflict resolution, and intimate connection and attachment style at an intellectual and mental level. You know, it's an inner child response. And so when we're dealing with a relationship that is embodied by Page of Swords energy, we've got two people that cannot communicate in a healthy way. For whatever reason, they keep bumping heads and they're not finding a resolution or a way forward. And these kind of connections can become really toxic. When we trigger one another's inner child really deeply, it brings up all of that. It's a heavy energy of trauma and anger and pain and suffering and rejection and abandonment that we've carried with us since youth. It's all the dysfunctional and toxic circumstances that we've been through, you know, almost muddying our ability to communicate clearly. And so even looking at the cards and as they come out, we can see that this is very likely a committed relationship. You know, you guys have probably been together for some time, but it's definitely gone awry. you know, you are definitely struggling. The moon front and center for the connecting energies, when it's in reverse, is about not trusting, not knowing the next steps, being really scared either way. You know, this is the energy of two people that are very stuck. And we can see over here with your energy, pile one, Ace of Swords in reverse, just not knowing what the truth is, not knowing what to do, really just being so frustrated with not being able to decide, not being able to see or think clearly about this. You can see here that in this Ace of Swords, there's a hummingbird holding up the sword at the top of a staircase. And of course, staircases are representative of a journey. We've got the acorns down here, which are about new beginnings, seed beginnings, and here the wreath of victory. And the sword is symbolic of truth and clarity, and the hummingbird is a very joyful energy. But what we're seeing here is that even though all of this potential is here for victory, for joy, for a new journey, a new beginning, that seed of potential is present, there's an inability to see a way towards it, an inability to know how to get there. And again, we can see here with this Four of Pentacles in the reverse. Now, in the upright position, this card is all about holding on tightly and feeling like you just can't let go. I'm going to turn it upright so you can see it like this. You can see here it's depicted as this lady, or this piglet, clutching the pentacle very close to her chest, symbolic of that possessiveness. I need to hold on to this, I can't let go. But she's sat on suitcases. This is a variant of the traditional tarot, you know, but what a profound message. She is literally packed and ready to go. She knows what she needs to do. But the Four of Pentacles is about clinging on to stability and the comfort zone. And when we are in a comfort zone, even when it's stressful and toxic and hard, it's still what we know. What we know always feels safe to a point. And it's so hard to move out of that when the future is unknown. And we can see here as well with the Magician in reverse that you've given up trying in this connection because you just don't see a way to resolve it. The Magician in reverse is about feeling disempowered. Here it's illustrated as the polar bear. But when the Magician upright, look at how powerful this image is. He's got all of the earthly tools, the cup, the pentacle, the sword, and the wand, and he uses them to create. He is a manifestor. He's the magician, the sorcerer. But this is the earthly power that we're all born with. You know, this is the beginning of the journey. We're born into that singular form, a physical body, and allowed to experience life as being separate. We experience duality, consciousness from the perspective of an individual in its own body. But that one, you know, is the beginning. It's that free will power we all have. So when this card is in reverse, you know, it's that feeling of being unable to create, you know, exactly what it is that you need and want. It's a very frustrated energy. It's the inability to see a way to literally move and get what you want to get. So it definitely feels like, pile one, you've kind of given up is a harsh word, but I think it just feels impossible and hopeless to you at this point. And you're ready to go, but you don't know how to take that step. For your person, they've got really interesting energies here. The Six of Swords in reverse is a very clear message that they don't want to move away. You know, they're probably applying a lot of pressure to maintain this relationship too. And it was 11:11 on the clock. I beg your pardon, it was 11:33. I don't know why I saw it as 11:11. Regardless, the Six of Swords is someone that doesn't want to move on, but they don't just want to move on, they're not prepared to invest in any change. So this is, well, it's not working, but we're not breaking up. You know, well, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to go to therapy? Are we going to talk it through? Are we going to try and find better ways to interact and communicate and heal these rifts between us? No, you know, I can't do that. It's down to you. Or, you know, when someone just won't engage, they won't be accountable to themselves. They won't show up. They won't commit to trying something new. They're just happy to sit with, this is shit, and you're going to suck it up. That's how it feels like this person. But the Four of Wands, the Four of Wands, I'm just going to adjust the camera slightly. There we go. The Four of Wands is actually a very intense energy for them to be bringing up, because it is the energy of union and celebration. And this is what I'm saying, you know, this person does want to be with you. They feel a very intuitive connection to you. They recognize that you are likely part of the same soul group at the very least. And clearly there was a point in time where you two had something, and it felt special enough for you guys to commit. And this person's still feeling that. You know, they genuinely still feel it. That doesn't necessarily excuse how they're behaving. It doesn't make the relationship okay or healthy. But this is the frame of mind that they are currently stuck in. They still have feelings for you. And I'm hearing that this is probably a surprise to you because they don't behave very nicely. You know, I definitely pick up on a very ill-dignified energy with them, especially when they're bringing this Page of Swords energy in reverse in their thoughts and feeling. You know, this is someone that's bitter and resentful and feeling really spiteful. That energy of the reactive inner child that we found in that cockatiel energy when we began. And actually cockatiels are also about communication. You know, that's all right here in how they're thinking and feeling. And we know that what we think and feel is what we project, even if we're not saying it. So this is undoubtedly not an easy person to live with right now. But you are being reminded that they do genuinely feel a deep kinship to you. Now, their version of love may be distorted and very different to yours, but even ugly love is love. And they do hold that energy of love and kinship with you. And the High Priestess, it's interesting to note, is a progression from the energy of the Magician. And what we're seeing here is the masculine energy, which is the part of us that wants to, you know, lead forward, take back control, create stability, provide, protect. You know, it's the literal physical manifestation of all of that physical masculine focus, action, right? But we have that masculine energy here, which is no wonder you're in that energy of wanting, because, you know, to feel this way and to embody that, because you need to move forward into self-sufficiency. You need to, you know, you're feeling this urge to actually leave. So it's, you know, no wonder that we've got this energy here of, but I don't know if I can do it, you know. But they are in feminine energy. They are mirroring the polar opposite. The High Priestess is that intuitive emotional connection to self. Here it's depicted with those red roses, which are very passionate, and the owl, which is drawing on deep wisdom. And I'm hearing this may surprise you about this person. And what we have to remember is that even people that don't demonstrate a connection to their spiritual self, even people who are skeptical, we're all born with intuitive awareness. We all have rich and unusual inner worlds. And, you know, most people connect with it, even if they don't use the same context or labels or words. You know, some people are very sensitive and very in tune and aware of energy at a deeply intuitive and natural level. You know, a lot of people will just chalk it up as a gut feeling, and they are attracted to you for a reason. You know, because that's in you. You're just more open about it. You're very comfortable in your spiritual skin. You know, they don't like all of those labels and the weirdness and the societal taboo aspect of it. But they are actually very intuitive, and they're not ready to let this go, even if you are. And I guess that must make it really painful. But we can see here with the feelings, you know, where all the truth lies as well, because the Knight of Swords is someone that wants to charge forward. First and foremost, you can see here this beautiful white horse, symbolic of purity and freedom. She's got that blue dress of truth, and the head is a bird, which is also about freedom and connection to spirit. And this is also an intellectual energy that refers to communication. So when it comes up as thoughts and feelings, you know, he was in the, or they, I beg your pardon, I shouldn't assume about gender, but they were in this Page of Swords reversed energy. You've got this Knight of Swords, which is at least more controlled. It's more mature. It has more clarity, but it's still a reaction of the inner childhood aspect. In this case, we're looking at more adolescence, early 20s with the Knight of Swords. So, you know, you're both coming at this from a reactive inner child point, at an emotional level in the way you perceive each other. You just want to run away, you know, and they don't. The Six of Swords is all about moving out of the storm into calmer waters. That's blocked for them. They're obstructing that flow of resolution. But, you know, you're in this, and even though you're frustrated when we have Judgment and the Fool together, this is a very powerful combination. And do you know what goes in between these two cards? After Judgment and before the Fool is the World, which is completion. So what we're actually seeing here is Judgment, which is that rebirth, that awakening, you know, that peeling back the layers and ascending to the next level. And the Fool, which is taking that leap of faith into a brand new beginning. But what the missing piece is the World, the bit in the middle, the ending, the completion, you know, the bit that you're desperately hanging on to. And for them, you know, they're unwilling to even look at this. The Page of Swords, it's an even pricklier communication, but we're seeing here with the butterfly that it is transformative. You know, people grow through all of this challenge. We all grow through these kind of challenges, even though you know, one or both of you may be at times defiant, unwilling to see, listen, or understand the other. What it feels like is that you are both listening. Even if you're not able to have those conversations, the things that are being said are deeply triggering, and you're both going away and thinking about it and processing and growing. They are in a period of recovery as well. You know, the Four of Swords is all about, well, we can see here it's depicted as being in the dark, but it's about creating mental stability. So if this person's closed off, shut down, unwilling to discuss these things, I do think a big part of it is that they're desperately trying to hold things together and just stay as balanced as they can be. And they may not look very balanced, which is really testament to how hard they're struggling. But we've got the Seven of Swords in the middle as well. King of Wands in reverse over here, which is, again, very similar to that Magician energy, the total feeling of disempowerment. I do feel that with your person, they don't feel powerful enough in this relationship, and they never did. It's like you are so capable and you are so... oh, you're so pure-hearted. I feel like, you know, when we're kids and someone scolds us because we've been naughty, and you get that specific feeling, it's like an inward cringe or squirm of, oh God, I've done something bad. It's your conscience kicking in. And it's also that punishing inner voice, isn't it? That's like, you're such an idiot. Why did you do that? But it's such a squirmy, cringy feeling. This is how he feels every time you point out what he's doing to be an absolute dick. And the thing is, he really is being an absolute dick. So you're right to say these things, and I'm hearing that you deliver them in the most gentle and loving ways. You really, really do. But he's not hearing that. He's receiving it through this filter of inner child, twisted, spiteful, vengeful, squirmy, cringy energy. He feels so disempowered by you, and that's his own problem. It's not your problem. It's not because of you. You know, he's not, well, let's say his ego is very fragile to be able to cope with someone that's so powerful and so capable. He feels much safer in a relationship when he's needed. I keep saying he. I shouldn't say he. It could be a she situation. So my apologies again, force of habit. But, you know, this person feels disempowered. They are struggling seeing you do well. They are struggling watching you thrive and evolve. They feel stuck in their life. They've never found that direction or that drive or that passion, and they haven't achieved what they wanted to achieve. So it's hard for them to see you. Now, they should be supportive. They should be proud of you. They should be championing you and loving you and encouraging you. And you deserve all of these things. But you're also being asked to recognize that their inability to offer you these things is not really about you at all. It's everything to do with how they feel inside, and their own limitations and their own struggles and their own inner child distortions. The Seven of Air is about betrayal and deception. And I know this sounds really intense, but I really feel like both of you are hoping that one or the other takes some action. I really think in your case, you're just wishing that this person would go off with someone else and make it easy for you. And I kind of think that maybe they're thinking the same. Whichever way you look at it, the Seven of Swords is definitely lack of authenticity in your communicative dealings with one another. And we have all of this lack of trust, this fear of betrayal. It's very intense energies. In terms of what's shifting, Pile 1, this lineup makes me so sad for you. And we must remember that the benefit of peaking at where we're going, and bearing in mind where we're going is entirely by our own design. I want you to think of it in terms of all the decisions that you're making or not making. Every step you take, every thought you have, every bit of energy that you self-create with your state of being, your thoughts, your beliefs, are like ingredients going into a bowl that cook tomorrow. And so when we're looking at what's shifting, we're looking at what you're cooking right now. And the benefit of being able to see this trajectory is that you can cook something different, okay? And you need to cook something different, part one, because when we turn these energies upright, this is beautiful, beautiful potential and fulfillment. When they are distorted, when they come up in the reverse, what we're seeing is energy that cannot arrive at its fullest potential. So let's look at what they would mean upright. The Chariot is divine drive. It's the energy of Cancer. You can see the cats here that represent intuition. And you can also see the Camel, which is about having everything we need stored up, ready to support us on our forward journey. But this is about following that divine inner guidance, not worrying about what if, not doing risk assessments and doing sums. This is about feeling into the inner compass and recognizing that you're always being magnetized in the right direction. And so if you're disconnected from that, and remember 7 is a divine number, it's the number of divinity. It's that destined, fated path that we're all gently being tugged towards through that inner compass at all times. You know, and when we're still, when we're clear, when we're empowered, we can connect with it. And the best way to know if you're on the right track is it feels good. It doesn't mean it won't be bittersweet sometimes, because every new change, every step forward requires that we leave something behind us. That's the nature of evolution. When we expand into new awareness, our awareness will never be again as it was before. So, you know, the Queen of Wands in reverse, that's that fear of having that new beginning again. The Queen of Wands is Pisces, Aries energy. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac, and Aries is the first one. Aries is that, again, that divine drive. I know what to do. I feel this passion in me to do it, and I'm going to charge forward. And so when the Queen of Wands is in reverse, much like the other reversals we've seen, what we're seeing is you're afraid to step in your power. And I'm hearing that you get so tangled up in the anxiety and panic of it all. What if? You what if so much. You need to start what ifing about how well it could go. And you need to remember that you are a person in service to the light. You do beautiful work. You care deeply about people, and you lead by that heart. The world needs more people like you. And when you connect that heart above, below, grounded, connected to source, it doesn't matter what spiritual focus you have, whether it's Allah or Jesus or Mother Mary or, you know, whoever whatever God creator energy you like, or goddess creator energy you like, just connect above, connect in the ground. You know, you just need to focus on that point of alignment because you already have everything you need. But at the moment, fear is paralyzing you from taking the steps you want to take. This inner child is reacting, and likely your parent, one of your parents, left when you were young. And when that happens, we get a deep rejection, abandonment mood because we remember that parent being torn away. When we're experiencing any circumstance where someone deeply close and attached to us is going to pull away, or we want to pull away, it's going to trigger that old wound. So, you know, the way you can really put this to bed is to start healing that inner child part of you. And there's an adolescence wound here as well, you know. I feel like there was another relationship in which you've already been through that also is unhealed, because the 6 of Cups is beautiful energy. It's soulmate energy. It's connecting and remembering energy. This is the energy of nostalgia. 6 is the energy of love. And I feel like in the back of your mind, there probably is somebody else, maybe not even at the back of your mind, probably forefront center of your heart. And I'm hearing that you've never dared discuss it. You've never dared acknowledge it out loud. It's like just your own private little secret and pleasant inner distraction, I guess, from what you've been going through. But you need to trust that so many beautiful things are ready to come to fruition when you take those empowering steps to look after yourself. Your person is shifting towards Two of Cups in reverse as well. You know, that's not someone that wants to reconcile and make this happen. Justice, however, and the Queen of Pentacles is a very committed energy. And I do think with justice, it can mean different things in different scenarios. But for me, in combination to one another and looking at how things are going so far, you know, to my mind, they're cooking some kind of... I feel like they will try and keep you there by making it difficult to, you know, not easily releasing you from the commitment or marriage. They might make that difficult for you. The Nine of Swords is stress. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. It's anxiety, it's panic. But we remember that we're looking at what's cooking. Okay, and you can cook differently. When you bring these cards upright, now, you can't change what they do. Remember, we have no power over anyone else. So you don't need to focus on how to convince them. You just need to get in your power. You know, the Chariot and the Queen of Wands and the Six of Cups, that is such a beautifully powerful lineup. You know, this reminds you that you have available to you all of that power, you know, to make this happen. Remember, they had King of Wands in reverse. You had the Queen of Wands in reverse here upright. I know you're feeling like you need to be more assertive, more firm, that you're going to have to kind of, you know, jump into this masculine role to enable you to be free. But what I'm hearing here is that you need to lean into that divine feminine aspect too and create that balance, that alignment. This way, you will just keep getting the signs, signals, and hunches that move you in the right direction. But you have to be still and aligned enough to pay attention to them. Right, let's get some final guidance cards. I'm going to use the archetype deck, and I want to ask, what are you not seeing about yourself in this situation? What are they not seeing about themselves? Right, so for you, we have the light attributes of the dilettante, the light attributes of the hermit, and the shadow attribute of the femme fatale. And for your person, we've got the shadow attribute of the destroyer. Okay, they came out together, so we'll keep them both. The light attribute of victim and light attribute of liberator. Okay, so light attribute of dilettante. It says, delights in the arts without having to be a professional, alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. And so you may have been more worried about the material impact of leaving this relationship. You don't need to. Remember that you don't have to be brilliant at everything to be able to find your groove, flow, and enjoy life and be really sufficient. I really feel like this is reminding you that even though you're meticulous in your planning, because that's how you cope with anxiety and the fear of potentially risky or harsh consequences, that sometimes when we just lean into and trust the process and, you know, enjoy that feeling of I'm learning something new, I'm a beginner to this, and that's okay. You know, you can just relax into it a bit more. You're really good at being on your own, part one. I think you know this. I think you know that you don't need somebody else. It's the practical aspects of that stability that worries you. It says here, seek solitude to focus intently on inner life and serve personal creativity. So creativity came up in both cards. And I'm hearing that even in the interim, there is a safe and sacred space that you can be in to be creative. Take yourself to it more often. I'm hearing you know where that is. With the femme fatale in reverse, this says inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. And I think it's your fear of being seen that way as well. And I think this is what they accuse you of. I think they literally project all of their distorted feminine beliefs and rage onto you. They're just projecting. And, you know, you don't want to be the villain. And you have to understand that sometimes in some people's stories, which is their muddy, distorted view of their world, you might be the villain, and that's okay. You don't have to worry about that. It's really none of their business if they see you through a shit-covered lens. It's not your fault, and it's not your responsibility. In their mind, look, with this destroyer in reverse, intoxication with destructive power, destroying other dreams or potential, they don't see that they're doing this. They don't realize how destructive it is for them to keep chipping away at your self-esteem and digging you and digging you and digging you in the way that they do. They are so miserable within themselves that they really don't recognize how insidious and unpleasant and destructive this is for you. They're just venting, they're projecting, they're angry. You know, with the victim, we've got prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. They can't see themselves as a victim of trauma. You know, they can't see themselves as someone that needs to heal or that is reacting to wounds or bad feelings. They can't see themselves as someone that is losing control. You know, they're going to avoid it because their ego is too fragile. It's not your fault. It's not even their fault. They are responsible to fixing it, but this is their path. You know, we just need to accept that people will see it when they're ready to see it. Liberator. Freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. So, you know, I do think he's teaching you a really beautiful lesson, because by him being in this energy, he does actually liberate you in many ways. I think you have to remember that relationships mattered when they mattered. They were meant to be when they were meant to be. This one has outlived its spiritual purpose for you. You know, you are ready to fly on your own. You weren't before, and you were meant to have the experience you've had. You know, things that you and you and them have done together, they matter. They have anchored you on the path that you were meant to be on. And so there's a lot to be grateful for here. I don't think he realizes that, and I don't think they will be able to accept that, but you can. Right, let's get the Divine Abundance deck for you. I'm going to get one more, and then we're going to take this over to the extended. We're going to dig a little bit deeper. I want to get more insight into how you can cook that next bit in a really positive way. You know, how you can, I guess, improve that communication as well. I definitely think at the moment you just need to deal with this internally, and I want to say keep quiet. Don't engage in arguments. Keep talking calmly. Loss. Sometimes you learn true offering through loss. You make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. Now, I don't doubt that if your person had demonstrated their willingness to evolve, to communicate healthily, to understand, to listen, to move forward, you know, you wouldn't be in this situation with them. You need to remember that they haven't, and you can't make them. And sometimes we need to know loss in order to see clearly. And it really feels like that. You know, I really feel like you two are definitely part of the same soul group. There's been great purpose to the relationship you've had. But you're both ready now to learn lessons at a very individual level by moving in your own directions. But let's take this over to the extended. Thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for your likes, for your beautiful comments. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you so much to the very generous souls that take a minute to watch the commercials and the adverts. That really helps my channel grow, and it really supports me to create these videos. So I appreciate that. It's the perfect energy exchange. Thank you. If you would like to find out more about my services, you can find me on Instagram at happysouls1111. You can also find my website at happysouls1111.com. I will see you soon. Thank you, happy souls. Bye. Hello, part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Otter, the Hematite, and the lovely Omens Tarot. And today we are asking you and them, what is really going on in this connection? What's really going on here? We're going to find out. We're going to get all the nitty-gritty details. We'll be using the tarot cards and the oracle decks. But before we begin, if you skipped the intro, just go ahead and take a nice long deep breath for me. And just hold the person that you're inquiring about in mind. Set the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages you need for your highest good. And you can also ask the universe for a sign. That's just a way of really anchoring your faith, your trust. And a sign can be anything at all. It could be an animal, It could be something from nature. It could be an object. There's no right or wrong, a symbol, a series of numbers, whatever works for you. Just see what comes to mind. And hopefully that sign will pop up for you in the reading. Pay attention to the messages that are delivered when it does. Right, so in this reading, we look at your energy and we look at your person's energy. We're going to look at how each of you is showing up in this connection energetically. We're going to look at how each of you is thinking and feeling about one another in the connection. We're going to look at what's shifting for each of you. What's the current trajectory that you're both on as far as this connection is concerned? And the benefit of doing that is that when we can get a sneak peek at what's cooking, you know, what ingredients we're throwing in the bowl currently to cook our tomorrow, we can make adjustments if we need to. And of course, we will be getting all of the guidance you need to move forward for your highest good with this person. Right, let's do it. So this is the deck I'm going to use for you, pile 2. So that's your cards. And for your person, I'm going to use this deck. This is the Anima Mundi Tarot. Ooh, what was that? There's a 7 of Cups. We'll see if it comes out again. 7 of Cups is about choices. Interesting, another one flew out. 2 of Wands in reverse. I wasn't finished shuffling, but I feel like we need to keep that one. So let's start with them. Okay, 8 of Cups in reverse. 7 of Cups, there it is again. That was meant to come out. Okay, so that's the energy they're showing up in. Let's put our little otter over here. And how are they thinking and feeling about the connection? We've got the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Wands. So that's 3 8s we've got there. The Queen of Wands. And what's shifting for them? The Lovers. The Page of Cups. And the Magician. Okay, let's draw for you. There is a third deck, which I was going to shuffle, but the impulse to draw for your person was strong, so I followed it. Right, for you, pile 2, your energy, King of Pentacles. Ten of Cups in reverse. Knight of Pentacles. And how are you thinking and feeling about the connection? The Magician. The Star in reverse. And the Knight of Swords in reverse. And what's shifting for you? 6 of Pentacles. 6 of Wands. And the Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay, connecting energy. So the third deck is the Glitter and Gloom Tarot. Let's give it another quick shuffle. So the connecting energies, this is basically what each of you is bringing and what it adds up to in the middle. You know, what's the energy of the connection owing to what you're delivering? What are the thoughts and feelings of the connection? What's shifting for the connection? Okay. Right, that's not actually a card. It's an instructional card. It shouldn't be in there. Beg your pardon. Here we go. 8 of Pentacles in reverse. That's interesting. We've had all the 8s out now. Thoughts and feelings. The Devil in reverse. For what's shifting, we've got the King of Swords in reverse. Ruler of air, looks like Bowie, doesn't it? Okay. Very complex energies, pile 2. This is such a complicated situation between you and this person. I really feel like they have somebody else. And with you beginning in this King of Pentacles energy, you know, you are the king of your own world. You take care of yourself. You're a fierce, independent person. You're really owning life. You know, you're making it out there on your own in every sense of the word. But you really want a family. You know, when the 10 of Cups is in reverse, I'm just feeling this as a missing piece. You're at a stage in your life where you're ready, you know, to start planning, to start taking those next steps, to settling down, you know, to really fulfilling that desire to just have that nuclear family and that beautiful connection to your own kin. And you know, the Knight of Pentacles, it's this desire to anchor it, to ground it, to start planning. We can see here as well, this isn't a traditional Knight of Pentacles. I love how here it's depicted as this cat, you know, on her shoulders, the weight of intuition leaning in on her. It's almost like you have this impulse to act now. The time is now. You know, you're ready for a family. You're ready for commitment. You're ready to make things real. And it's not a desperate longing anymore. It's not like you're in pain because you can't have them. It still niggles at you, but you want enough space to at least be able to have that 10 of Cups. It feels like a deeply frustrated energy at this stage, that I feel you've waited around for this and it hasn't panned out. They're unwilling to make a decision. They're unwilling to you know, run towards themselves. This person's definitely leaning back because they are concerned about the impact it will have on others. You know, the 8 of Cups is about running back to yourself, being true to yourself, living your authentic truth. And I don't doubt that their authentic truth would be with you. I really think they know that. But they're unwilling to make that decision. They're unwilling to love themselves enough to allow themselves to have the love that is available to them through you and this beautiful connection you share. They dream about it all the time. You know, the 7 of Cups is someone that is very happy living in their own little dream bubble without any impetus to take action. And so we see here with the 8 of Pentacles in reverse, this stalemate energy. And I'm hearing that you guys are friends, and there's an easy, fairly regular pattern to your communication, but it's subdued romantically at the moment. It feels like, you know, if you're in a king leader role, you definitely have firm boundaries. You know how to take care of yourself. And it does feel like this energy of having learned to set those boundaries and having become empowered to create a more comfortable lifestyle for yourself. For them, I just really feel like there's an unwillingness. The potential for that decisiveness and that rushing towards themselves is here because these cards are on the table. We're just seeing that they're reversed. The energy is blocked. It has nowhere to flow. So they're definitely getting the impulse to do these things, but they're not reacting to it. We're seeing someone who's incredibly resistant, incredibly restrained, and definitely the 8 of Cups is a very deeply emotional energy. And so, you know, they are really moving through this from the perspective of, in order to run towards you, they have to run towards themselves first. And opening up that vulnerable aspect, the emotional aspect of self is very challenging for this person. They are surrounded by people with a lot of very rigid principles and values when it comes to how they should be. You know, they face a lot of judgment, and that dreadful tug of societal expectation is really palpable for them. When it comes to thoughts and feelings, pile 2, I mean, the Magician followed by the Star in reverse and the Knight of Swords in reverse makes me want to give you the warmest hug. You know, because this is someone that is working so hard to stay empowered. And you are so diligent and determined. And I really do feel like you ride these big stormy waves of bullshit. And it is bullshit. I really feel such the heavy weight of agony that you have had to traverse to get to the stability you've got now. You've worked so hard for this. But look how pissed off she is. We have to laugh, pile 2, because if we didn't, we'd cry. You've worked hard for this, but you're exhausted now. You're tired. You know, and it feels like, as far as this person's concerned, there's this energy now with the Star in reverse of hopelessness. I need to start planning my future without them kind of vibes. And with the Knight of Swords, that still feels so contradictory to the faith that's in your heart. It's like an unrelenting battle of, you know, the kindest thing to do for myself is to move on and look for that love somewhere else. But I feel like that would go against the grain of what you feel is right and that you can't shake. Your person with the Eight of Swords, and we've got the Eight of Wands here as well, followed by the Queen of Wands. I mean, all of these eights in their lineup are really significant. For a start, 8 is the number of infinity. It represents the infinite nature of your connection, but also the infinite nature of our connection to ourselves and the universe. It's about how we're always growing, always cycling through similar experiences on different wavelengths, different vibrations, always expanding with each turn. And so they are in a very transformative stage. They are connected to their higher senses and their intuition in a way they haven't been before. And we can see with this Eight of Wands that they feel it coming in hard and fast. And I'm really intrigued that this is illustrated here by this bird that's kind of charging away like, oh, damn. What are all these things coming at me? Go, go, go. You know, there's a really urgent energy of running away about this card, and it just feels like they are very, very intimidated and yet deeply inspired by it. It's such a bundle of contradictions. You know, they're both inquisitive and scared. The Eight of Swords is about feeling trapped, like there's no way out. We see here it's illustrated as the bat, which is that feeling of being in the dark, in the cave, you know, not having access to your normal earthly senses, but having to be plunged into this dark world of deep and profound self-awareness, which creates that feeling of disassociation. I really think as well there's been some substance abuse with this person, and so that withdrawal into themselves has been tinged with something dark as well. There's interference there because of that involvement, and so even though there's this fast incoming light, spiritual energy, and this receptiveness to it, it feels like it's twisted for them. And so they definitely see you as this source of spiritual evolution. They've recognized that your connection has triggered them and changed them and hasn't subsided. And they know it's something otherworldly without a doubt. The connecting energies here are very revealing because we've got the Devil in reverse, which is both of you feeling unable to release the other. You know, and it's both that it's a blessing and a curse energy. In one respect, I think you would both agree that indulging in thoughts of them, the lovely daydreamy thoughts, is the most blissful thing that you can spend your time doing. But the desperate reality of being unable to come together and the way that impacts your life being the really harsh edge to what is an otherwise beautiful connection. I think you're really being asked to recognize as well that what's in them or in you is in you both. There's a lot of mirroring and projecting here. And, you know, when we look at the cards that have presented, there is no unity or balance really presented in any, apart from these outer ones in each case, but these distortions. You know, even this Queen of Wands, she doesn't hold her wand like the traditional Queen of Wands. You know, it's a cheetah, which is a very flighty animal, very fast, very springy, but she's not actually grasping the wand. And again, this magician, he has none of his tools. You know, he's just sort of arms folded. You know, to me, this is two people that have so much power but aren't getting out of their own way. They've not realized how their own frustration and their own resistance to their current reality, that state of non-acceptance, is creating the energy of tension, which just perpetuates more of the same. It's a stubbornness that's in both of you, is what I'm hearing. Neither one of you wants to give up, and you've each got a version of what giving up means. Certainly there's a feeling of giving up on each other, and no one wants to do that, but they want to be able to live without guilt and shame and without this perpetual discomfort as well. That feels like what both are trying to achieve. You know, it's like, yeah, there's a refusal to meet in the middle. it's deep. What's coming in terms of you, for you, part two, what's shifting, we've got the Six of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. Now, 6 is significant because it's the numbers of love, okay? And when we look at this row, this particular row down here, this is super powerful. This really demonstrates how much of a natural warrior that you are. King of Pentacles, the Magician, Six of Pentacles. And Six of Pentacles is the balance that's being created with the available time, heart, and literal asset that you are able to invest in any connection. Six of Pentacles is about boundaries. It's about recognizing where reciprocity actually flows from and how we create it for self. I love as it's represented here as both full, empty, and united. So the light, the dark, and the whole in equal measure. It's a really powerful image, that Six of Pentacles. So it's about rebalancing and learning that whatever love we expend or energy we expend from our hearts, we have to either recreate for ourselves or, you know, recognize how it flows between people. And I feel that you share a very profound connection in the heart chakra to this person. And so there is an exchange of life force. And for you, it's learning to balance and stay aligned in it. I do believe you'll be victorious in this. You know, the Six of Wands is the card of triumph. Again, it does feel like you're being asked with the Ace of Swords in reverse, bearing in mind it comes up here with that Knight of Swords in reverse, that feeling of going against the grain of your own truth, that we still see confusion here. And so you're being asked to discern how much of what you feel and think is truth is actually rooted in desire. And your fixation on that being the truth is perhaps inhibiting you from allowing yourself to flow in the directions that you're meant to flow. Because the real truth is that we never have the full roadmap. You know, truth is a gentle tug in the right direction. It's a feeling or a pull in a certain direction. But when we try and reach into a direction that's far off in our future, you know, it's distant, you know, it's going to be much harder to get a clear and direct pull. We have to inch towards it. The more we close that gap, the clearer that end goal becomes. And so you really need to discern what truth it is you think has to come to pass and what conditions you have determined must be met in order for that truth to come to pass. Because it seems to me that you do have some very specific expectations, some very deliberate expectations of what this connection has to be, what it is and what it isn't. And you're being asked to reflect on that. Because the reality is, as I said, we can't know. We can feel something without knowing the detail. And you're being asked to trust the divine to fill in the detail for you and to focus on taking the very next step. The way we see things going at the moment, you're definitely victorious in creating more balance within this connection and for self, but you've had a lot of practice doing this. You're ready for this. You know, you're already feeling resigned. You're kind of trying to let go in your own way by at least putting your focus elsewhere. Intellectually, you're there. You know, now it's about integrating that at an emotional level. And I'd also like to point out that this Six of Wands lines up with that Ten of Cups, which the potential for that exists also. It's just reversed, but it is on the table, as is the Star. You know, when we unblock the energies that exist here, you have a much more aligned and beautiful and comfortable flow for yourself. Again, this fixation on how you think your life needs to be for you to feel fulfilled and content. The goal is to just be fulfilled and content now and trust each next step. To restore faith, but redefine what you think you are having faith in and what it needs to look like. Your person, I mean, we had the Magician for you over here. We've got this for them here. This is really positive. You know, we've got the Lovers. The crane may have been a significant symbol for some of you, I'm hearing. And the twin crane in the Lovers is a beautiful illustration of that mirror image that we see of ourselves in another, that total connection in the heart that's just so overwhelmingly beautiful. You know, this is a union energy. This is a beautiful energy. And the Page of Cups is definitely, it's crush energy, it's new relationship energy, it's flirtation energy. This is a transit for connection is what I'm seeing, and them stepping into their power. Look, this is the moth or some kind of butterfly spreading its wings. It's not in the cocoon anymore. It's spreading its wings. That infinity number 8 shows up again. And all of that power of the magician, you know, I really think pile 1, I beg your pardon, pile 2, that whilst neither one of you may be ready to do this together, there's a profound shift happening for you at a very individual level that is going to bridge that gap in the middle. Your person's definitely, again, has the potential for returning to self and making a decision. The potential here is good, but what we're seeing is a resistance in both. The resistance in you comes from being tired of waiting and casting about for alternatives and, you know, being frustrated at not being able to be decisive about that or really ground yourself in a new path. It feels like you're constantly toing and froing. What am I doing here? Is this going to change? Hopefully it'll work out. It's, you know, no wonder you're feeling dislocated and frustrated, because this is all over the place. You're just constantly wondering, what if, what if, what if? Neither one of you is able to just ground in the present and enjoy this right now. There's guilt and shame on both sides. There's feelings of immorality and that frustration that you can't be together, and that what you're, you know, any communication you do have feels illicit. The Lovers and the Page of Cups and the Magician, as I say, for what's shifting for your person, this is powerful. We've got union energy here, and we've got that beginnings of something new with the Page of Cups. But the King of Swords in reverse suggests to me that no one's actually having these conversations. And so, you know, we have to remember that how we feel is unknown until it's actually communicated and shared. And that's where the energy of authenticity comes into it. Remember, the King of Swords is the King of Truth. And to be authentic, it's not about saying what we feel safe saying, or saying what we think will get us the result we want, or not saying something because it may result in a consequence that we don't like. Authenticity is saying what we truly feel. And it's a really hard thing to do when there is no security in terms of what the response might be. But you know, there's a really valuable lesson there, because we can't have any power over how someone responds, but we do get to choose how we react to it. And how we fear reacting is a very powerful point of self-awareness and kind of like a leaping board for healing. Because, you know, if we're looking after ourselves truly, the truth, even if it's uncomfortable and not aligned with what we thought we wanted and needed, actually sets us free. It sets us free. It gives us permission to move forward, to know. That's what's important. It's the authenticity. To fear the consequent pain or emotion reveals that we are scared that we can't cope. It reminds us that we need to learn how to soothe and love ourselves better. It reminds us that we need to focus on all of those different coping mechanisms, healthy coping mechanisms that we can develop when we are standing in that self-awareness and recognizing that we haven't yet learned how to regulate ourselves during emotional upheaval like that. Because life will sometimes throw us. We can't avoid life. We can't avoid difficult conversations on the grounds that we're afraid to swim into that big ocean, just in case we drown. You know, we have to learn to swim strong and surf the wave. And this is what you're being asked to do. You're both being asked to step into authenticity. This feels like the challenge for both of you, right? Let's get some more cards for guidance. I'm going to start with the archetype cards. So as far as guidance is concerned, I'm going to ask, what is each of you not seeing about self and the other? What are you not seeing about, actually, what are you not seeing about how you're mirroring each other in this situation? Yes, I like that. What are you mirroring in each other in this situation that's going to help you get clarity around where you can transform self? Right, this is the archetype deck. Actually, I'm going to riffle shuffle it as well, because I work with reversals in this deck. So let's just give it a good riffle shuffle. And one more. I've mushed the cards up now. I'm not really like the most neat person, but it's visually so much more pleasing when they're neat, isn't it? Okay. Right. Quick tidy. Let's do this. What are you mirroring in each other that would help you to know? Right, so the light attribute of the scribe. The light attribute of engineer. I love this. The shadow attribute of trickster. The shadow attribute of lover. Let's do one more. Shadow attribute of mystic. Okay, and from the spirit animal deck, the cosmic egg. I love this card. Oof, and the phoenix, beautiful. The golden egg and the camel. And from the Moonology Oracle, you're very close to achieving your goal, gibbous moon. I love this. Okay, what are you mirroring? Light attribute of scribe and engineer, preserving knowledge and information, the ability to give creative energy, a practical expression, talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. I love this pile too. You know, both of you are incredibly dynamic when it comes to how you express yourself in the real world. I want to say that you have more opportunity in your present to really indulge these light attributes and these aspects of self that just are itching to share, to teach, to record, to put down, to spread. It's like a beautiful light code that just plugs you into the earth's grid and allows you to translate and share and transmute so much within the collective. I feel like your person, however, feels really it feels like a stuffy energy, like being buried, really repressed from being able to express themselves in a similar manner at this moment. But this really indicates to me that you do have this beautiful shared mission. You know, you both function in very similar ways. I bet if you checked your human design charts, you've got very similar profile types. You know, you have similar purpose. You process and function in similar ways when it comes to expressing your wisdom in the real world. The way you communicate, I'm hearing, is quite similar too. The shadow attribute of the trickster, manipulating others through duplicity. And this for me feels more like that illicit feeling that both of you carry. And it's intriguing that this one's front and center. And I really think that perspective of morality really eats you both up, because you're so aware of the consequences and the impact on the feelings of others. You know, it's demonstrative of how empathic you are. You are conscious of your actions being potentially harmful to others. And certainly I feel it's weighed heavy on both of you. It feels like a really heavy weight to bear as well, you know, and this is definitely due to how you're raised, your own principles and values. You know, you just don't feel comfortable being in that energy. And I do think this is the shadow that eats away at both of you the most. It's interesting to me, we've got the lover and the mystic as well. I'm going to bring them up here so you can read the shadow attributes with me. So delusion, rapport with the divine, obsessive passion that harms others, self-destructive devotion. So you can see they're very similarly related to this card. And I think this one is a very common shadow attribute when you're experiencing a very deeply soulful connection, because it's so synchronistic and weird, and we still feel in many respects very confident because we're having this experience, but we gaslight ourselves and we question our own sanity, and we wonder if, you know, this is real, or we're not just winding ourselves up and leading ourselves down some kind of distorted path. There's a lot of confusion here about the spiritual nature of this connection in both of you, and whether you trust that idea that both of you share about it. And again, we're seeing that illicit energy of, oh, what I'm doing is wrong, flowing through very strongly. And so what's intriguing to me is that, you know, I feel like your person feels the weight of that spiritual doubt and the illicitness of what they're doing more than you do, because I feel like you have pulled back and set that boundary in that respect. So it's the impure thoughts and the desire to have you that they still feel guilt and shame around, because I do feel like in your case, you've kind of made more peace with that than them, even though it still lingers, because there is an intimacy to your connection. But look at how you're channeling it so beautifully now that you have forgiven yourself and released some of that. Perhaps there's a suggestion there as how you can better support one another. I'm fascinated that we got eggs for both of you, because of course they're about rebirth, and more so with the cosmic egg. You know, that's about downloading multi-dimensional templates, you know, transforming and integrating through that process. The snake sheds its skin. It's a very literal illustration of transformation. We're seeing here this is at a cosmic level. Even the phoenix represents the same. You can see that all the eggs have this circular symbol, which represents, you know, the totality of everything. And so these are very big cards. The phoenix is, of course, is rising from the ashes. It's scorpionic energy, the rebirth, but it's also that profound awareness of all that is, a really spiritually inspiring and deep shift happening for you over here, pile 2, and for your person as well. But they're storing it up. We can see with the camel that they're just trying to ground this energy. They don't know how to ground it, but there is this suggestion that they're storing it up, and that they're storing it up, and that they're storing it up, and again that they're a little bit too comfortable sustaining the current state of quo. But you are very close to achieving your goal. You know, that is a very promising sign with the gibbous moon and all of the trees. I had a really beautiful vision about this last week where, you know, I was looking at unity consciousness and the infinite nature of consciousness as just a tree growing within a tree, growing within a tree, growing within a tree. It's just a constant non-stop process of growth. And this really reminds me of that. You know, this blue-green connects to heart chakra and throat, which again leans into that authentic expression of what is in the heart. And the moon, of course, is the intuition, you know, and trusting in the unknown. The goal may be different to what you think, and you're already here. It's all available to you now. Whew, okay, it's so deep. Right, we're going to take this over to the extended now, part 2, but thank you so much for joining me here. If this has resonated with you and you'd like to watch the extended, you can find the link for that in the description box below and pinned at the top of the comments. Hopefully I'll see you there, but if not, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button and leaving your lovely comments, and for subscribing today. And thank you so much to those of you that take a minute to watch the ads and commercials. It's what keeps my channel moving, and I really appreciate the guys that sharing that energy exchange. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Don't forget to check out my website and subscribe there for private readings. You can find me at happysouls1111.com, and when my diary's open, the subscribers over there are the first to know. So hopefully I'll see you there too. Otherwise, see you here next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Appreciated Jasper and the Swan. We're just going to pop that over there. And the Blooming Cat Tarot. And this is the you and them reading. Today we are asking what's really going on between you and this person. Now, if you missed the intro, I'm going to ask you to just take a nice, long, deep breath all the way in, really slowly out. And just hold the person you're inquiring about in mind. And set the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most today about this situation between you and them. You can also ask the universe for a sign that just helps you to receive some more validation and trust and faith. It can be anything at all. It could be an object, an animal, something from nature, a sign, a symbol. There's no right or wrong, whatever comes to mind. So this is the deck I'm going to use for you, pile 3, the blooming cat tarot that you chose. We're going to look at the current energies of you and what you're bringing to the connection and your person. We're going to look at how each of you is thinking and feeling. We're going to look at what's shifting for both of you, you know, based on what you're each bringing energetically now and what you're each thinking, where is this moving to? And then, of course, we're going to get all the guidance. Now, I am going to use 3 decks. This is the Anima Mundi Tarot, which I'll be using for the energies, thoughts, feelings, and what's shifting for your person. And I'm going to use a 3rd deck down the middle for the connecting energies. That's the what's really going on bit. But we want to see what each of you is contributing to the whole. Okay. Now, there will be an extended reading, as always, so if this resonates with you, you can always find the link for that down below. But let's get started. I'm going to draw cards for you first. Okay, and the first one is the 2 of Wands. So that's all about making decisions, decisiveness. We've got the 7 of Wands. This is about feeling defensive, having the barriers up. I'm hearing in your case, creating healthy boundaries. 6 of Wands in reverse. It feels like you can't win. You feel stuck. Okay. Thoughts and feelings. Page of Swords. Interestingly, this has come up in all 3 piles so far. 7 of Pentacles. And the World, big energies. Okay, what's shifting for you, pile 3? The Death card, big changes. 10 of Wands in reverse, release of burden, that's good. And the 9 of Swords. Okay, and for your person, the 7 of Swords. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And the 7 of Wands in reverse. That's interesting because that came up for you in the upright position. And thoughts and feelings. Wheel of Fortune. 8 of Cups in reverse. 2 of Wands in reverse. Remember, this came up for you over here for current energies. What's shifting for your person? 3 of Wands in reverse. 3 of Swords in reverse. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So lots of blocked energies. Let's get the connecting energies down the middle. The King of Swords, ruler of air. I love how Bowie-esque that card is. That also came out, I believe, for pile 1. It's interesting to see the connections through the collective. Right, 3 of Pentacles for connecting thoughts and feelings. That's good. That's collaborative, at least, to a point. The World. Okay, so that came out for you over here, part 3. Let's do this. I'm going to start with the Swan. Ace of Swords. Now, the demi-swan has a story of its own as well, because swans are generally depicted in pairs. They're a creature that mates for life, so there's an eternal bond there. And so when we see one on its own, we actually refer to it as half a swan or a demi-swan. And the Ace of Swords is about truth and clarity. And for me, this is a really profound, deep, powerful symbol that what you are dealing with is the process of learning about self-love through the soulful nature of your connection to this person. You're learning to be independent and self-sufficient in the creation of an embodiment of love. This is beautiful energy. This is about learning to live authentically. It's so graceful as well, the energy that you're bringing to this. We can see here with the Two of Wands and the Seven of Wands that even though you're struggling and there's still a lot of anxiety, there's still a lot of doubt and frustration, you are really decisive now about what healthy boundaries means to you. And you are applying them. You know, you have made tremendous progress when it comes to turning inwards and learning to take care of yourself. And so this feels like a really significant step forward for you. And even though you're probably not feeling that, you're probably feeling, you know, with the Six of Wands in reverse, like you just can't win. You know, it just feels like everything always goes against the grain for you. And you're constantly being pulled off course with triggers, with different unexpected circumstances. But through that, through having to struggle to keep aligning yourself with that real divine flow, you've built up so much strength and so much resilience. Now, it does feel like maybe you've overshot that point of balance a little bit, and you're perhaps a little bit too fearsome in your boundaries and defenses. Maybe not all of them are as balanced or healthy as you would like them to be, but it's a dramatic improvement from this people-pleasing energy that you were in. And first and foremost, you're being called to forgive yourself, because this person has really pushed you to your limits. This is a one. This is a special one. You know, I really feel the frustration because this person is so stuck. We've got here the Seven of Swords, which is usually indicative of an underlying distinct lack of authenticity. And I want to say that even when they do manage to be authentic, they are deeply insensitive in their delivery and, you know, quite strategic in what they will share. And it's not always with, I want to say, positive intentions. You know, this person has a sting in their tail. There's a lot of scorpionic energy coming through here, even though it's not necessarily depicted in any of the cards deliberately. It just feels like that to me. You know, this person gets control again by digging in their heels. There's an obstinate, stubborn nature. I want to say it's like a trickle truth. You know, they allow themselves to be in authenticity when they know you'll accept nothing less, but it's quickly pulled back. They're only authentic to a point. It's like these little dribbles and little trickles of that true intimacy and connection. And they don't have any boundaries. And they're stuck. They're going round and round in circles, repeating the same behaviors, even though it appears they listen and absorb what you say. This person is stuck. Now, I want to remind you, though, that there's two sevens here. You know, we had the Seven of Wands for you. Seven is a really divine number. It connects the energy of the Chariot and that energy of divine drive that pulls us forward. But it's also in the Tower, in divine intervention. You know, that energy of everything that no longer serves us collapsing so that we can start over. And so I don't doubt that even though you guys are facing these challenges between one another, you know, you desperately trying to draw the line in the sand and close off this cycle, but, you know, wanting them to own their part and to actually create positive change. There's an awareness that you can set your line, but you can't force them to stop butting up against it and to behave differently. And it feels like you've tried every which way to communicate, and they're just not listening. Although, as I say, there's these little pockets with that King of Swords energy coming through, little pockets of, I even want to say victory. Look, there's a V shape here in his face. And Six of Wands in reverse is a perceived lack of victory. And I don't think this is as, I know it feels so rotten, but I don't think this is as deliberate as you may think it is on their part. They are definitely working from a very unconscious place when they are stuck in these destructive patterns. Yes, there's an energy of vindictiveness to it. That's part of their nature and how they act out when they are triggered, but it's still an unconscious response. And I'm hearing that they can connect intellectually in those pockets of truth, that are minimal pockets of truth that are available to you, but they're not connecting in the heart. Let's look at thoughts and feelings, because with Page of Swords coming through, this is about thinking from the wounded inner child. This is what came up for pile one as well. When we are raised in environments where communication wasn't healthy, we adopt those patterns. They become part of our hardwired response to conflict and all the difficult conversations that we're going to have as we grow and evolve and have relationships. They're all narrated by that wounded inner child that hasn't learned the healthy lessons yet that they need to. There's certainly been improvements, but it goes back to these core inner child wounds that stunted our ability to be conscious in those moments because we're falling back into that hardwired program. The Seven of Pentacles does show a measure of awareness and patience with this process. And look, we have this row of 2 sevens here for you. Now, I want to remind you what I said about this 10 of Wands in reverse as well. That was a release of burden or responsibility. And we've also got the energy of completion. So you need to recognize how quickly this new cycle of boundaries has actually anchored you in the present in a much more meaningful way and allowed you to close the cycle at least. Even though you are so frustrated, you are holding your own here. You really have, as we began with, been strengthened by the constant movement of this connection. And you should be very proud of yourself, of how you've navigated it. You know, in terms of how you're feeling about them, we're definitely seeing you closing off a chapter and starting afresh with a completely new set of boundaries and a much more divinely guided, patient, willing and surrendered state of being. And they are completely triggered by this. We can see here with the Wheel of Fortune that they know something really magical and weird is afoot. And let me tell you, what I get really strongly about this person is that they hate that. They are so frustrated that this connection seems otherworldly and they can't seem to just get away from it. It's like no matter how far they run or how far they try and turn away from it, they're constantly magnetized back. They can't move an inch without bumping into some thought of you, some memory of you. It's like a constant stream of you awareness. And they're good and angry about this. I think they have context. I feel like you have probably explained what you're meant to be learning and the soulful nature of what's actually occurring between you. Maybe they even knew already. You know, as I said, there's a strong Scorpio energy here. And Scorpio energy is very, very, very intuitive, deeply aware, because it has such a dramatic range on its emotional body. It feels it all, which is both a blessing and a curse. But Scorpios feel things at an intuitive level. This one is resisting. They understand, as I said, there's some context here around the purpose of this, because the 8 of Cups in reverse is a refusal to run towards themselves. It's a refusal to meet themselves emotionally and nurture themselves emotionally. And you can see here it actually depicts a bird taking flight. You know, the seagull, which we perceive as scavengers, right? Always looking for their next bit of meal. They don't necessarily hunt themselves, they scavenge. They look for other people's leftovers. You know, this is someone who isn't emotionally self-sufficient, and they probably lean on you really hard, but they're not able to generate that for themselves. They're not willing to try and generate that for themselves. And whereas we began over here with you in this 2 of Wands energy, this energy of decisiveness, balance, learning to operate from a healthier perspective, we can see that they are very reluctant to make the same decision. What we are seeing, however, is that there's still a collaborative energy. It's unbelievable how far you two can actually push each other and still be there. It does feel like there's an energy of stability to your interactions, because the 3 of Water or Pentacles, or beg your pardon, this is the 3 of Cups. That's still collaborative, but this is emotionally collaborative. So do you know what? It must be important that I thought it was the 3 of Pentacles. So let's focus on both. The 3 of Cups is a social energy. It's definitely a reunion energy. It's the energy of companionship and spending time together for the sheer pleasure of it. Whereas the Three of Pentacles is collaborative. It's about working together to plan and build something. And so both of these energy, being number 3, is Empress energy. It's divine feminine energy. And it's the energy of creation. It's the energy of creating something new. So when we look at it in these terms, especially with the World and the Wheel of Fortune either side of it, there is a dramatic shift happening as a result of the way you have been surrendering and achieving balance. There's more room to get more aligned, but what we're seeing here is this connection. And I want to say you deserve a medal for still being here. It really feels like you have to work so hard to bite your tongue and be decent with this person, even though they've pushed you to your limits. And I really feel like it's because you genuinely see that they do have a pure heart, you know, beneath all of this. They're just so troubled. They're in such a trap when it comes to the way they think and see the world. You recognize that they are just unconscious and in a lot of pain, but you still deserve to be acknowledged for how gracefully and kindly and lovingly you have held space this entire situation. What's shifting, I do think, is really positive as well. You know, the World is the energy of completion. Remember, this is number 3 as well. This is number 10, the energy of completion and co-creation is occurring in a powerful way because this is where you're both looking towards. It feels to me like your person is wanting at the very least to come unstuck. They perhaps still don't know how. There's definitely this fear of, it's such an irrational fear of nothing's going to work out. But you're mirroring this with the 6 of Wands. This, I can't win. I can't make this work. It still feels so impossible to you both. So let this be, you know, a little nudge just to reassure you, you are moving in the right direction. Death is the end of something, and we've got a 1-3 here again. It's the end of something. This is that Scorpio energy, but it's also a rebirth. It's that beautiful, beautiful new beginning. It's a deeply transformational energy. It's the energy at which we truly resurrect from the burning embers of what we were previously. And we do this every day in real terms, you know, when we sleep and start over. But certainly in this case, you're shifting towards a very deep, dramatic change. And the 10 of Wands in reverse indicates that this is going to literally allow you to be released of a lot of the pressure that's been mounting. And it feels like for them, I mean, we've got all of these 3s here again. The 9, which is Hermit energy, and again connects back to 3. The World coming back up again here. Now this 9 of Swords is typically sleepless nights, anxiety, worry. But I'm feeling that that's because this is shifting towards you being able to focus on them again. I feel like you've actually had your boundaries up for some time. You've probably been quite brutal in maintaining them. And the 9 of Swords feels like a surrendering to holding some of that space for them. I'm not necessarily seeing it as an anxiety that you are carrying in a burdensome way, because look at how the swords are depicted here as lavender. These are blooms. This is transmuting anxiety. This is absorbing anxiety and turning it into something beautiful, something that supports growth and evolution. This is a beautiful energy, and it's something that you do unconditionally. 9 is Hermit energy, it's inner work. It's about recognizing it's for the good of you and the connection. It feels like, okay, so in the Moon key, there's one of the rights is the bands of power. And it makes perfect sense in relation to what I'm going to say, because bands of power absorbs energy, any energy, and turns it into something good and revitalizing for you. And so if anyone sends you bad vibes, your bands of power soak that up and they transmute it into something beautiful that you can use for your highest good. That's what this energy is. This is you beginning to hold space for them in a much more authentic way. Not because You want something from them, not because you're hoping that your expectations of physical creation will manifest in a certain way, but just because it feels good to allow the energy to move through the connection in the way that it's meant to. These barriers you've had up were not just literal, they were emotional, they were mental, they were certainly physical, but they were also spiritual. I feel you've blocked this person an astral connection for a really long time. They definitely are in the energy of depression and feeling stuck. You know, when the Knight of Pentacles is in reverse, this is someone that doesn't even know how to move forward. This is someone that desperately may want to, but they just don't know what the next step is. And I'm hearing that you can repeat it again and again and again in a variety of interesting ways, and they're not ready to hear it either. You know, this is someone that is still in a cycle of grief when the Three of Swords is in reverse, and it looks like they're suffering certainly from a deep betrayal wound and that feeling that they can't have fulfillment. It almost feels as well, with that Two of Wands in reverse, like they feel powerless, like they can't make the decisions you've made. You know, you're working on this, I'm going to be self-sufficient and love myself vibe. And it feels like not only are they resisting that, but they actually believe it's impossible for them. Regardless, we have the world here for what's shifting. You know, the universe, again, the number 21, which is the High Priestess and the Magician. Remember, we had it here. It adds up to 3, which is the Empress energy of co-creation. What we're seeing here is the balance, an embodiment of that balance. I don't know which sun signs, what star constellations these are. Maybe someone can let us know in the comments, but that might be relevant to some of you. I really see this shifting in a much more energetically harmonious situation, but I think you're aware that for this person that you're dealing with, it's not going to translate into their reality yet, but you can feel good anyway, is what I'm hearing. Right, let's get some guidance cards as well. This is the Moonology deck. In fact, I'm going to get the Archetype deck first. In part 2, I asked the question, what are you mirroring in each other? And I think that's a really useful one. What are you mirroring in each other that you aren't aware of? Okay, that card shouldn't be in there. And that helps us identify where we're showing up in distorted ways and where we can be more accountable to ourselves, where we are empowered, you know, to really move along a higher, a more pleasing timeline, I guess. Right, for you, we've got the shadow aspect of Saboteur. We've got the light attribute of Child Magical. And we've got the light attribute of Knight. And for your person, we've got the light attribute of Trickster. We've got the light attribute of God. This is lovely. And we've got the shadow attribute of Mediator. Oh, I've got true shivers. This is so lovely. Right, let's get some of those moon cards as well. I think some animal cards. Right, surrender to divine. Yes, always. There's always more to surrender. Prosperity lies ahead. Always a welcome message. Take time to breathe out. Disseminating moon. And for your person, communication is key. New moon in Gemini. It's time to take action. Yes, it is. You and your loved ones are safe. Beautiful. And an animal each. So for you, we've got shark. And for your person, we've got spider. Okay. So shadow attribute of Saboteur induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Now, I think this is really about being aware of how when you, in fact, I don't think this is ill-dignified intention in you at all. It's the same distorted, unconscious behaviors that your person demonstrates that we discussed earlier. And in your case, you have this tendency towards really trying to help them find solutions without recognizing that it's communicated in a way that actually undermines or disempowers them. You know, when we tell someone how to do something, especially if it's unsolicited, what we're communicating in a more nuanced way is, I don't trust you to know this and to figure this out, so I'm going to tell you. And of course, we don't intend for that to happen, but that's really what's happening. We don't trust them to figure it out. If we did, the question, well, and it would be a question rather than a lecture, would be, how can I help you with this? What do you think you can do to fix this? What ideas do you have? And so it just feels like there is a lot of defensiveness in you and them when it comes to receiving guidance and offering guidance. And the highlight is on the term unsolicited. So you both do this. Remember, these are things you are mirroring in each other, that you're probably not aware of is in you as well. Child magical light attributes, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. This is beautifully reassuring because it's reminding you that they do feel this. And we discussed this earlier, that intuitive level of understanding that they have, all of that Scorpio power. You know, look at where Scorpio lands in your person's chart. Spider is also a very Scorpionic energy. Very similar. And so, you know, I genuinely believe they understand this. They understand more than they allow, or their unconscious mind, the thinking part of them, allows them to truly flow with, but they do know. The Knight light attribute, loyalty, romance, and chivalry, a love of honor. This is why you've stuck in here. You know, you recognize that pure heart in them, just as it's in you. You recognize that beautiful energy. You do mirror that. And so often when you ask yourself, you know, what you're doing here, why am I putting up with this? I feel like you do get frustrated and you have these little rants with yourself. And so this is just reassuring. It's reminding you you're not crazy. You recognize that beautiful pure-heartedness, you know, that is chivalrous. It's, you know, we go to lengths when we love, don't we? We stretch in really expansive ways for those we love. And that's such a beautiful feeling, to share that honor. You know, you definitely both feel this in each other, even if it's not always demonstrated. Trickster, transcending convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. Now remember, this is the light attribute of it, but the fact that it's called trickster also demonstrates that lack of trust in self. You know, it's one thing to transcend convention and stuffiness and predictable behavior, but we often wonder if there's something wrong with us. You know, when we start going against the grain of the herd and moving in directions that speak uniquely to our own inner truth and soul, we're kind of separating from the masses in a way that can trigger us to feel insecure and like a fraud, because that's what society tells us we are. Oh, you believe in all that woo-woo shit. You're just, you know, there's probably something wrong with you. This is a very real feeling, and I think it's amplified in them. I think you still have this, though, to a point. You know, you still fear that part of yourself. You fear the judgment that it triggers, or the fear of judgment that it triggers in you, the fear of persecution. But they feel it very strongly. God and light attribute, benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. Again, you know, they feel this, they know this. You have to trust that that energy is powerful enough to break through. The shadow attribute of mediator is interesting. It says here, negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. And this too came out as a shadow aspect for them earlier, in which I was saying, you know, they do kind of communicate insensitively sometimes because they know it's going to sting, and it's their way of having a little dig. Some of their communication is like a double-edged sword, and it's part of their very dysfunctional, hardwired, unconscious communication pattern. But they are showing you that you do this too. And maybe you don't realize that you do it either. So we must remember, in these types of connections, you know, when we are mirroring one another with a view to exploring our deeper layers of consciousness so we can grow and be more of ourselves and be more true to, you know, our own authentic hearts, you have to be prepared to recognize that even when they look like a car crash, they are mirroring what's in you too. You may not be expressing it or acting upon it, but it's in you. And there will be clues. You know, it's going to sneak out here and there, maybe in more subtle ways, but it's there. And we really must recognize that if we're on these paths with twin flames, with soul connections, with karmic partners, you know, which always involve projection and mirroring and triggering, they are teaching us something about ourselves in the way they show up. They are showing us what we cannot express and vice versa. And it really feels like there are so many beautiful things you're being asked to recognize is in them. Again, it may be more subtle than what's presenting in you, but the clues are there if you look. And likewise, you know, you do mirror one another's shadows, but you want the same thing. You know, you're both good people. Surrender to divine, prosperity lies ahead, time to breathe out, disseminating moon. And the shark is deliberate and predatory. It's hungry and driven. You have to get into this mindset. You already know what to do. Now you need to keep marching like a soldier, like a warrior. You know what this path looks like now. I love this card because it reassures you that whatever you've been manifesting, and if you're not manifesting in a focused way, and my little tip on manifestation is to manifest how it's going to feel. Don't worry about the details. Don't specify amounts of money or specific jobs or even specific cars. Just think about how it's going to feel when you've got everything you need and want. Focus on the feelings that creates. That's what we're really chasing. And there may be more interesting ways to have that than what we perceive as the right way. So I think when we're manifesting, if we try and make it really specific, we almost limit the universe's divine understanding of our true purpose and needs. So, you know, surrender a little bit more, but trust that the universe is going to take care of you, wants to take care of you. It just needs you to keep aligning and being focused with these loving intentions in your physical world. Remember, the secret to that is through your breath. Your breath is your primary life force. Perhaps you could focus on breath work and learn about that a bit more and how that can immediately connect you to that state of peace and alignment that you've already been practicing, that groundedness. You know, if you're a person with spider energy, this is industrious energy. You know, this is really positive. I think this is to reassure you that they're going to get busy and maybe what they're weaving will be a little bit wonky donkey. We can see this web isn't the best web. It's not the best web, is it? No. The spider could have, he could have been a bit neater. I'm just going to be real. You know, I'm not calling out the spider, but if you've ever seen a spider that is fed substances, I think in the documentary I watched, it was cocaine, sugar, caffeine, all different kinds of substances. And then they watched how well the spider wove its web. And it was really interesting results. In fact, caffeine was one of the worst. The spider did the most irregular webs when they were caffeine to the hilt. So definitely go and watch that. But the reason I'm saying this is that your person right now has an external influence that is affecting their ability to be truly accurate and effective when it comes to productivity. Now, we know there's an underlying perhaps depression or mental health concern here, but also if it's not necessarily a substance, there's an external incoming force that is also creating challenge for them. So, you know, you need to remain aware of that. They are trying based on their current limitations and potential, but they know it's time to take action. I really believe they're ready to. You may not see evidence of this yet, but it feels like it's in the waters. You know, this is where it's moving, and that you and they are safe. New moon in Cancer. This is all about creating home. You know, and the crab creates the home on his own back. They might find little nooks and crannies to hide in and be safe in, but they have this very protective exterior so that they carry that safety with them. So this is really them learning as well to be self-sufficient. This is beautiful energies. Right, let's just get some final cards from the Divine Abundance deck. And I'm going to take this over to the extended. I really want to go deeper in the extended. I want to get some more detailed guidance for you around this part, because it feels like the shadows here, you already know how to connect the dots here. You just need reminding about something is what I'm getting for you. But more importantly, I want some direct guidance about tying the two together, because it feels like they need support and you're holding space for this now. But it's not support in the way that you're used to offering support, is what I'm hearing. Okay, final card, love. I love that. Awakening, beautiful. And your path. Okay, divine source is the idea that no person, place or thing is your salvation, only love itself. This is what you've been learning. And the hummingbirds here, they are symbolic of joy. And we can see at the center that lotus flower, which represents awakening as well, the peeling back of layers. Oh my Lord, wake me from life as a spiritual sheep. May I hear you through my own instincts and common sense. This is about taking this journey inwards, you know, and you probably don't watch these videos very often anymore, pile 3. You just needed a little nudge today. Dear Lord, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through my fears and illusions, your path. So that's what we were talking about regards manifesting as well. You know, when we're really specific, we're not trusting that there's a plan far beyond what we can see through our current fears and illusions. You know, awakening. Wake me from life as a spiritual sheep. May I hear you through my own instincts and common sense. And my salvation is love itself. This is all available to you now. And I really feel like your person is waking up too, like it's happening. It's taken such a bloody long time, but it feels like it's happening. Right, pile 3, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. And more than anything, thank you so much to those of you that take a moment to watch the adverts and commercials. That's such a perfect energy exchange. I appreciate it so much. It really helps my channel keep going. Now, if you want to join me at the extended, you can find a link down below. But thank you for joining me here. Don't forget to check out my website and subscribe there for information and updates when I open my diary for private readings. You can find me at happysouls1111.com. See you next time. Bye. Hello, pile 4. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to your reading. Today we are doing the you and them reading. We are asking what is really going on between you two. We're going to get all the nitty-gritty details. We're going to use the oracle decks as well. In this reading, we look at your energy and your person's energy. What energy are each of you bringing to the connection, and what does that add up to? We're looking at how each of you are thinking and feeling about one another in the connection and what that adds up to. And we're looking at what's shifting. What's going to happen based on what each of you are contributing to this connection right now. And of course, we'll get all of that guidance that you need to move forward for your highest good. So you chose the Dream Visions Tarot and the Narwhal with the yellow calcite. We're going to pop him over there for a minute. I'm going to give these a shuffle on screen. I actually use 3 decks for this reading because I look at your energy and your person's energy and the connecting energy. So we're going to give them all a shuffle. The Dream Visions will be for you, pile 4. And for your person, we're using the Anima Mundi deck. And whilst I'm shuffling, just take a moment to really set the intention that you're ready and willing to receive the messages you need about this person and your connection to them. You can also ask the universe for a sign. That's a really lovely way of getting that direct communication from spirit. And a sign is anything, just whatever pops into your head first. It could be an animal, a symbol, something from nature, an object, a place, a name, a series of numbers, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. It's always prudent to pay attention to where that sign shows up and what messages were being relayed at the time. So this is the Glitter and Gloom Tarot that we're using for the connecting energies. And there will be an extended reading today. So if you relate to this one, you can always find the link to that down below. But let's go. I'm going to start with your energies, part 4. What energy are you bringing to this connection right now? We've got the Ace of Pentacles. That's a powerful start. We've got the 10 of Swords, the end of a painful cycle. And we've got the 2 of Wands, decisiveness. That's a strong start. Okay, how are you thinking and feeling about this connection, pile 4? The 5 of Wands, strategic, determined, but maybe still playing a game, even if you don't realise it. 5 of Cups. This is grief. You know, this is recovering from a grief cycle. For some of you, I'm picking up substance addiction, possibly weed, alcohol. Page of Wands in reverse. Oh, so that one's a tough one. That's like uninspired by this situation now. Okay, what's shifting for you, pile 3? Sorry, pile 4. Okay, we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. And we've got Judgment in reverse. And we've got the 4 of Swords. Okay, let's draw for your person. So with the Anima Mundi Tarot, we've got the 4 of Wands in reverse. So this person's resistant. We've got the King of Pentacles, perhaps committed elsewhere, if not to someone else, to their career. And we've got the 2 of Swords, indecisive. You've got decisiveness, they've got indecision. Okay, how are they thinking and feeling about this? The Hierophant, the Wheel of Fortune. These are big energies, pile 4. Okay, they came out together, so we're going to keep them. Isn't that interesting? We've got the Ace of Cups, but we've also got the Page of Wands in reverse, which is the same card that came up for you in the same position. What's shifting for them? Wow, Judgment in reverse. You also got that card. The Fool. So lots of major arcana for your person. The major arcanas in tarot are what we refer to as the big secrets, the big deals, the headlines. We've got the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, and for the connecting energies with the glitter and gloom, for the energy you're bringing, it's 8 of Pentacles in reverse. For thoughts and feelings, it's the 3 of Wands. And for what's shifting, it's the 4 of Wands in reverse. So we're going to draw more cards as we go, but let's start where we are. I'm going to start with the Narwhal, because this is the 7 of Cups. And it's so interesting to me that we have the 2 of Wands here for you and the 2 of Swords for your person. And the 7 of Cups is actually about choices. So whereas the 2 of Wands is about decisiveness and 2 of Swords is indecisiveness, with the 7 of Cups, we can see that there are a range of options that you are both considering. And I'd say both keeping the other arm's length when it comes to authentically expressing the options that you're truly weighing up. This is something that's being done at a distance. I'm just thinking how that narwhal creates a boundary, doesn't it, with its magical horn. But the 7 of Cups is also quite a daydreamy energy. You know, it's the energy of being lost in what-ifing. That what-ifing isn't always positive. You know, sometimes we may tell ourselves stories about the future that there's no evidence that are true, but we may deduce that there's some probability that, you know, certain things could work out certain ways. And those expectations and fears aren't real. They're all speculative. So I do think there's a lot of confusion in this connection straight off the bat. Both parties weighing up their options, and really, I feel like you're both making different decisions. Because for me, part 4, looking at your current energy, for me, you are stepping through to the other side. You are finally able to release this connection. The Ace of Pentacles is a strong new beginning. It's an auspicious beginning as well. You know, it's loaded with the energy of abundance and good fortune and practical stability in the material world. It's such a positive energy when it comes to everything coming together into alignment at a physical level. And the 10 of Swords is about closing out painful cycles. You know, this tells me enough. This person, through no fault of their own, cannot show up and have a healthy relationship. And we see here that this 2 of Wands is illustrated as someone passing through a portal. illuminated portal, you know, stepping into the light, leaving unhealthy patterns of relationships and behaviors behind. It feels like your person is, for some of you, as I said, committed elsewhere, if not to themselves, if not to someone else, then to their own pursuits, where probably something that's out of balance. It's an avoidance of self, and so their focus is somewhere else. And we definitely see with the Four of Wands coming up twice here that, you know, you guys aren't heading towards a union energy. In fact, it feels very much to me like now that you're stepping through that portal, your person is clinging on as well. They neither want to lose you and let you go, but they don't want to keep you in the way that you need to be kept either. It's, you know, this is someone that wants to continue maintaining this, I want to say, loosey-goosey, we're not, what are we really doing here kind of energy of where it's just going nowhere. And we can see with the Eight of Pentacles in reverse that certainly, you know, there's been a conclusion on your side of the fence that that cannot work. And if one person's not on board, then it simply cannot work. But for you, I feel like it is the end of what has been a really challenging cycle. And, you know, even thoughts and feelings here, strategic, ready to move forward. We can see the Five of Wands is also about competition. You can see all these hands here clashing with these sticks. Now, when it comes to competition, I feel like both of you struggle with pride. And pride is that feeling of not wanting to be one-upped, needing to be in control, you know, needing to be perceived in certain ways in order that you can feel good. It's part of our conditioning. You know, we should be like this, and therefore we, you know, we start to feel the fear of judgment if we're not as society suggests. And in your case, you know, you feel annoyed that in your mind you have let this person get away with, you know, I say it in brackets because that's, you're kind of seeing it as they've wronged you. They've gotten away with that, and they need to understand, you know, they can't treat me like that. There's consequences for treating me like that. I'm going to show them. It's the real energy of a kind of, you know, you've got to be real and honest with yourself about how bitter you feel, and that maybe your actions and communications, I think deep down you both want union, but the behavior and the communications that are being brought to the table don't leave space for that to happen, because you've got two people that are wrestling for control, wrestling with their ego, wrestling with their pride, and really taking every perceived slight very, very personally. There's a lot of Cancerian energy here, which for me is about that hyper defensiveness. If you think of a crab in terms of how it snips, you know, snips with its claws, even at any perceived threat, it's just snip, snip, snip. And it just feels like you're both so empathic and sensitive, but also still struggling with self-esteem, that it's really hard to receive criticism, because that's all you heard probably growing up. The Five of Cups is a really challenging place for you to be feelings-wise, pile 4, and so I'm sending you a big warm hug. We can even see here that she's almost leaning into this cup, you know, head collapsed into the bowl. The Five of Cups is the energy of grief, of dwelling in grief, of not seeing a way out of grief. It's 11:11 on the timer when I say that. And so you have undoubtedly, you know, really gone through the mill to try and process the fiercely magnetic and totally non-reciprocal connection that you have had to this person. And it just feels like you've run out of steam. And this is such a challenging stage for anybody to go through, of loving someone so much, but finally arriving at the conclusion that they're never going to be or offer in this state, in this state of being, they're never going to be what I truly need and want. It's reconciling the truth of the present moment versus what your hungry heart desires. And it's a brutal reality check. But it's that awareness that does allow you to move to the other side. And I want to remind you that 5 is about transformation. It's about change. It's about getting to where you need to be. You may feel deflated and uninspired, and like the wind has been squished out of you. But you're going to recover that, and fulfillment is available to you both when you just let your barriers down and focus inwards and stop reaching out externally for the love you need. You've known this for a long time. I feel like your person's beginning to recognize this too, which is a beautiful sign. But again, the Hierophant, and it's interesting how this works, because the minute you close the door behind you, it's almost like your person jumps into action. Oh my God, I'm really going to lose them now. I need to act. And that cycle then turns again, but you have an opportunity here to do this differently. They are coming to the conclusion that they need to make changes or lose you. And that's going to spur them into the action of making changes within themselves. This isn't why you should do this, but that will be the consequence of it for both of you. You know, the Ace of Cups demonstrates a lot of love. It demonstrates a recognition of the fated, destined nature of this connection. And it demonstrates a willingness to learn. They just don't have the drive to do it, much like you don't. But the combination of this is the Three of Wands. Energetically speaking, this is potent. It's potent. Even though you're both feeling rotten, some massive realizations are occurring between you, about you, and for yourselves at this moment in time. The Three of Wands is the energy of fulfillment. It's what you've been searching for. It's why you've made this decision. You've arrived at the undeniable conclusion that they simply cannot provide what you need and want to have a healthy relationship right now. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they can't. Right now they can't, or they won't, and there's nothing you can do about that. To acknowledge that and make a decision based on that truth is surrender. It's that very energy that you have been craving that you can embody, and you're on the precipice. I know it feels so hard, but already the magnetic pull of you navigating towards that surrender point is dragging your person into the light. There's this really beautiful energy, Pile 4. I know it's hard and it feels like you're being torn in two for both of you. But if you can hold the strength that you cultivated to get here and keep pushing, you're going to break through in the most beautiful way. In terms of what's shifting, you know, we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse here. We've got Judgment in reverse. We've got Four of Swords. Now, remember we had the Ten of Swords up here, the end of a painful mental cycle. And so when we're talking about what's shifting, a key piece of information for you is to be aware of your thoughts. I put a post on my community page about this in the last few days. Go and check it out. It summarizes it beautifully. But you really need to pay attention to your thoughts. And the beauty of looking at what we are shifting towards, you know, of looking at what's going to happen next based on the present, is to realize that you are cooking the next step. You're co-creating it. You're throwing ingredients in that bowl by the energy you bring, the thoughts you're having, the beliefs you hold, the fears that get in the way. It's all adding up to something that's going to get baked and create an outcome. And what's important to recognize here is that even though these cards are reversed, and so that what they show us is that the potential for movement here is blocked or thwarted, they are on the table. The potential exists. You know, that energy exists here. It's just blocked. So you want to be looking at this from the perspective of what ingredients do I need to add or remove to unblock this? Because when we look at this upright, we've got Judgment on both sides, which is a profound shift. It's awakening. And we have the Four of Wands as the connecting energy. You know, for you, you really need to learn to go back and temper your communication skills. Because this came up for one of the other piles. I can't remember which. I think maybe it's come up a little bit in all of them. And again, it goes back to the thoughts and healing this part of ourselves. Because the Knight of Swords in reverse is someone that communicates fiercely. They communicate with a sharp tongue. All of that unexpressed insecurity, anger, resentment, bitterness, rejection, all of those shadowy feelings that have tormented you for so long, and they go all the way back to childhood, are projected in those moments. You know, you have a unique unique connection to this person. They trigger you and press you in very sensitive spaces. You know, this is you acting out all of that unhealed, unresolved pain of your past. And we see with judgment in reverse, closing yourself off to the beautiful consciousness and truth that you actually have access to. You're a very gifted person when it comes to your spiritual awareness. But when judgment is in reverse, we see that that transition, that awakening, that next phase of your ascension is blocked. And even this Two of Wands, look, it's deciding I'm going to walk through the door, but they haven't walked through it yet. That's the Three of Wands. That's fulfillment. And it's here in the connecting energies, in the upright position, if you allow yourself to move along the current path. This person has shown you they can't give you what you want and what you know you deserve. Allow them, give them permission to be who they are right now and love them anyway. It doesn't mean you have to be with them. You can love and move on. Love isn't a doing word, it's an energy. It's something we can hold on to regardless of the external circumstances. There's no need to be prideful. There is good need to mourn, but when it comes to substances, you need to rein that in. There's a connection here. Look at this row, 10 of Swords, judgment in reverse. Whatever substance you're using distracts you from the power that you have within you to heal this. You may think it opens you up to it or makes it easier. It doesn't. Substances distort our spiritual awareness unless, you know, you've already learned to discern what clear truth feels like in you. The Knight of Swords in reverse, this is where you need to focus. For them, we see that shift as well. Judgment in reverse, the universe trying to wake them up. There's a new beginning regardless. You know, the energy keeps moving. But when the Five of Pentacles is in reverse, this is someone who fears abandonment so much that even when they are aware of their own limitations, they will promise you the earth. They will say whatever they need to say to keep you. Lying is easier than losing you. Misleading themselves and misleading you is preferable over not having you there, is what I'm hearing. So, you know, you're right not to trust them right now. And it's not because they are not trustworthy. It's because they don't trust themselves. You can't trust someone that doesn't trust themselves. You know, they make promises to themselves that they don't keep. They're breaking contracts with themselves every day. Damn right, then they haven't got a hope of maintaining yours and keeping those contracts and promises with you. Someone who can't do that for themselves is not capable of doing it for other people. It's not personal. It's their wound. It's their core wound that needs to be resolved and healed within themselves. You know, you just need to trust you. It feels like right now you hold a big part of the key, because when you take that final step into the energy of 6, when you shift to the other side, when you walk through that portal, when you step into that energy of fulfillment, the energy of your connection shifts so dramatically that things can never go back to the way they were. You're on the home straight. 4 of Wands definitely indicates a union transit. The potential for it is there. You know, but union transits aren't necessarily, okay, we're going to be in union straight away. Union transits, when it comes to these soulful connections, are about moving closer to union. I want you to think of it as coming at it like this. So at some point you may be moving in opposite directions, completely unaligned from your true path. Runner chaser looks like this. Okay? A union transit starts to look like this. You're getting closer and closer. And look, I've got the 11 there on my hands. So it looks like this, a union transit. There's still a gentle wave and a runner chase, but you're coming closer. This is what this is. It means that things at least calm and stabilize, and you're no longer struggling so hard against that magnetic pull that it starts to flow more gently and doesn't feel as chaotic and roller coastery. Yeah? This is what you're moving towards. They have been clear with you about what they can and can't offer. You need to believe them, because I know they keep changing their mind, because they're magnetized to you as you are to them. But you have to let your inner voice speak louder. Okay, let's get some more guidance cards. I want to look at what you're mirroring in each other that you can learn from. This is the archetype deck. What are you mirroring in each other that you can learn, grow, be more self-aware from, and consequently be more guided in what steps to take forward? Right. For you, we've got the light attribute of thief. Sheds light on the potential wealth within that can never be stolen. I love that. We've got the shadow attribute of damsel. Let's read that now. Waiting for a night to provide for you. Seduction by romantic illusion. And king, light attribute, enlightened, benevolent leadership benefiting those in your charge. And for your person, we've got visionary, the light attribute, is capacity to envision what is not yet conceivable to others, willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. And the shadow attribute of hedonist says, pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. Fool, light attribute, fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. So the four came up for them down here. All right, let's get some, I'm going to get the moon cards as well and an animal card. All right, we've got expect powerful change. Surrender to the divine. And for your person, look at the bigger picture. And your hard work is paying off. And an animal for each of you. All the decks I use are noted in the description box below, by the way. We've got fish. And we've got earthworm. Okay. So, the light attribute of thief is beautiful, shedding light on the potential within you. So, recognizing that that's something that can't be stolen, that we can cultivate this love for self that no one can take away. We can cultivate inner peace that no one can take away. So long as we have awareness and power over self, our state of being, our own energy, which is the journey you're on and the potential that you have, you can be content and peaceful and loved. These are beautiful energies, but both of you mirror that. That's in your person too, just as that visionary energy is in you. The ones we want to focus on here are the damsel and the hedonist. Both of you needing to be rescued in some way. Both of you just wanting someone else to do the press-ups and jumping jacks for you. There are certain things that we can only do for ourselves. And when we don't feel that we have the strength, power, will, confidence, or courage to actually pursue the things we know we need, we desperately, desperately wish for someone to help us carry that burden. It's a really natural reaction to having not been taught how to be self-sufficient, how to self-soothe, how to self-love, how to self-regulate emotions. When we're not raised in environments that nurture these life-enhancing skills, we're in no man's land. And both of you have this in common. You freeze. You have this tendency towards when things get really overwhelming, it's like a paralysis and you can't take action. You spend a lot of time resisting and resenting it and wishing that things were different, rather than taking the steps to make them different, just hoping someone will come along and help you figure it out and do it for you or with you. But you have each other. You really do have more in common than you realize. There's so much resistance in both of you. Enlightened, benevolent leadership benefiting those in your charge. I'm hearing that you need to apply that wisdom to yourself. And of course, it's easier to channel and know for others because we're not as emotionally invested in their story unless it triggers and touches our own. But a lot of the messages you channel are for you too. It's a wonderful way to be able to receive without those preconceived ideas and then to observe how it feels as you receive that information. When I'm reading, it hits little spots in me too. I think, oh, I really relate to that bit. Wow, you know, I'll focus on that later. I'll figure that bit out. You definitely are one of these people that when someone starts expressing themselves to you, you just get it. You can see and feel so clearly all the solutions, all the root causes of their problems. You're a deep empath. You've always had this ability. Your person has too. You know, you both need to use that wisely. Remember, this was about being benevolent, about doing this work with no personal agenda. And, you know, this one's lovely. Fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. You know, you might think it's no boundaries and that you talk too much and you share too much, but there is something beautiful about the ability to be that vulnerable and to not even think of how others might perceive you for being so revealing and frank and real and authentic in your expression. You know, we only describe it as inappropriate. Perhaps sometimes the timing is, you know, our timing of those massive expulsions of private stuff can be insensitive sometimes or inconsiderate. But mostly it just makes people uncomfortable because it's not something they do and not all people know how to respond. So it's not a wrong thing to do. I feel like you both have been conditioned to think that you have to be prideful and keep things in. And so when it does kind of blurt out and you find yourself being emotional, you're piling a lot of guilt and shame onto yourselves. You know, you guys are way more similar than I think you allow yourself to recognize. And I can see in their dysfunction and current toxicity why you would not necessarily see this visionary energy in them, but it's there. You're both cut from the same stuff. Expect powerful change and surrender to the divine. The fish is the high priestess. She reminds you to flow. You know, fish are a beautiful representation of what it means to have power over your state of being. Because fish, generally speaking, even though they have the power to move freely within their watery environment, to a point, they are also at the mercy of the movement of the ocean. It's always going to be bigger and stronger than them. And that means that they can either surrender to that flow or exhaust themselves and probably die by fighting against that flow. You know, so they're a beautiful symbol of surrender. They connect to Pisces and the energy of the high priestess, that emotional connection to self, which allows us to be intuitive. The emotional body is the intuitive receptor. It's also represented elementally as water. So, you know, this is a beautiful message for you. Remember, you can't choose the flow of the ocean, but you can choose how to swim in it. You know, when to swim against the tide and when to swim with it. This is what you're learning. Earthworm, you know, this is about going to ground for your person, looking at the bigger picture and their hard work paying off. And you may not see that they've done any work. I feel like you've probably been really frustrated with them. But I think the work that we're seeing pan out for them here is more growth through struggle. You know, so being in the dark is very purposeful. But let's get some final guidance before we take this over to the extended. Right, so we've got the Divine Abundance deck, and the first card is Grounded, which I love because we had Earthworm here for your person as well. Divine Flow, which is magic, because this is what we discussed for you. And Courage. Okay, so Grounded, we've got this beautiful baby goat, and it says here, many of the most evolved beings on earth are regular folks living with joy, dignity, and courage. And so, you know, you can be grounded and magical, but not necessarily stick out like a sore thumb. You're being asked to recognize that the magic is everywhere, that your power and potential to connect to nature and everything that's conscious and to all of that beautiful peace-giving, life-giving energy, it's all around you. I think sometimes you put a lot of pressure on yourself because you may not mix a lot in, you know, the woo-woo groups or around people. You don't get a chance to express it much, and maybe you feel somehow magically repressed in your current home or environment. But, you know, we can be in tune to our reality and the magic within it, no matter where we are. And you're being asked to especially go outside and just get your feet in the ground and really connect physically. Divine flow. Eventually, one sublime desire takes preference over all others to follow, the Tao, the divine flow at all costs. Butterflies come up strong for you here as well. Remember, that's symbolic of transformation, growing your wings, which gives you more potential to know more, to see more, to travel more, to expand more. And I want to say with this grounded energy as well, I feel like doing something very grounded with your person is always a good place to reset. Going for a walk in the woods, you know, leaning against the trees or taking your shoes off and, you know, wiggling your toes in the grass, really connecting and doing those earthly things together. Courage. Let me open up to courageously take the steps that are shown. And, you know, steps that we are shown may not always be the same as the steps that we are, you know, actually wanting. So you have to bear in mind that sometimes the most unexpected directions lead to exactly what we wanted without us even having realized it. We don't have to control or premeditate it all. We can just trust our knowing in the moment. So I'm going to take this over to the extended now. Links down below if you want to join me there. We're going to dig deeper. I want to know more about what's brought things to this point with you guys. Also dig more into what it is that they're committed to. And of course get some more guidance about how you can bring these cards into the upright positions so that energy can flow. But thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate you guys so much. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for your likes and thank you for subscribing and your beautiful comments. And again, thank you for those of you that take the time to watch my adverts. I really appreciate that so much. It's such a beautiful energy exchange and it really makes a world of difference when it comes to growing my channel and just being here. So thanks. And I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out my website, happysouls1111.com. The mailing list on there will give you a notification when I open my diary for private readings. So maybe I'll see you there too. Lots of love. Bye.